Oh, hello again, everyone. Lovely to see you all. Um, Today, I'm going to do something just a tiny bit different. I'm basing this talk on a book. Um, and I've taken elements from the book, but then I've added in a lot of my own stuff. I don't usually do that. So today's is all about the book, very special book called The Richest Man in Babylon. And I don't know if any of you have ever read the book. Natasha's nodding, putting her hand up. Um, Now, obviously, the man who wrote it didn't live in Babylonian times. He wrote about it. He wrote this book back in 1926. And the principles in the book are still valid today. And I wanted to go through some of these. But here's the thing. Imagine someone goes through something incredible in their life, or they learn something, they study, and they put all of that knowledge in a book. And you and we can read that book in 5 days. You know, they go through something incredible for 5 years. We can read that book in 5 days, and we can gain that knowledge, that learning, that expertise. But here's the question. How many people have missed the book? How many people have missed the great books in life, the important books, the books with all of the relevant, important information? And the answer, unfortunately, is an awful lot of people. And this is just one of these books. There are many. But this book had an influence on me when I read it many, 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 many years ago. And I started to apply the principles. Some worked for me, some didn't, some were easy, some were hard. Um, but it helped me immensely in terms of creating wealth, building finances, and financial security. So I just want to talk through some of the lessons from this book, shall we say. Another little point, though, leaders. Leaders are readers. They always have been. When leaders pass away, what do we find they all had? Whether they're commercial leaders, religious leaders, military leaders, economic, political, they all had a library. So leaders are readers. So by the end of this short talk, hopefully you will understand the core laws of money, um, recognize how to apply these in your own life. Maybe I'll challenge some of your own beliefs and habits around money. And hopefully, you might leave with a couple of practical actions to help you start building your own wealth. But let's start with a question. To all of you, what is one thing, just one, that you wish someone had taught you about money at the age of 18? Now, I'm hoping some of you might have a pad and a pencil there on your desk in front of you. Um, But if you do, just write down what is just one thing that you wish someone had taught you or told you about money at age 18. Next question. And I just want a one-word answer, so you can write it down or have it in your mind. If you had to summarize your own personal money habits in one word, what would that word be? So if you had to summarize your own personal money habits in one word, what would that be? Okay. So now let's look at. So the book, although it was written many, many years ago, the lessons are still very, very relevant today. So in the book, he talks about 7 cures. And we're going to go through these in greater detail. And he uses old language, which is quite attractive, actually. Old-fashioned language, fatten thy purse. What a wonderful phrase that is. Fatten thy purse and control thy expenditures. So let's go through the 7 rules one by one. Rule number 1, pay yourself first. What does that mean? It means take a tiny little bit of what you earn and put it to one side. Now, before I go on, I don't know if you picked up the word I just used. We talk about goals an awful lot. Goals are important. And people always say, yes, I'm setting new goals. I'm trying new things. I'm attempting to do this. A goal is great and so important. But there's another word, a more powerful word. And that word is a rule. A rule to live your life by. So when it comes to money, goals are good, but rules are better. You can have a goal to set aside a little bit of your income every month, and some months you might do it, some months you might not. But if it's a rule, it always happens. So there are certain things in life you should make absolute rules. This is one of them. Now, here we've said 10%. That may be possible, it may not be possible. It might have to be a lower figure to begin with. But you start by doing something. You take a tiny bit of your income and you put it aside for yourself into a separate savings account. You pay yourself first. Here's a guide for you. If you cannot save 10% out of 100, you'll never save 100 out of 1,000. So if you can't save 10 out of 100, you'll never save 100 out of 1,000. So use separate accounts. Here's a question for you. What gets in the way of saving consistently? And you will all be different. Everyone will have a different answer. What gets in the way of saving consistently? Okay. Number two, control your expenses. There's a big difference between what you absolutely need and what you want. Now, I give lectures on money and we talk about the cappuccino effect. You know, is it nice to have a cappuccino? Of course it is. It's lovely to go out, have a coffee with a friend and look at the sea or stare out at the hills. It's really nice to go out for a coffee. But is it something you absolutely have to do? In my case, I'd probably say yes, actually. But because I do like my coffee. But you get the point. We often spend money on frivolous things, and it adds up to an awful lot over a year. If you add up how much you spend just on coffees or something like that, or alcohol over a 1 year period, it amounts to a huge amount. Okay. Um, Here's another interesting fact. Um, your spending will expand to fit your income. So the more you earn, the more you spend. And it's a danger. So your spending will expand to fit your income. Therefore, it's important to have some sort of a budgeting tool as a way of clarity, as a way of pointing out to yourself, what are you spending your money on? All right. Next, again, make your gold or money multiply. So if you are going to save something, money should work for you. Now, we have a wonderful thing in the world today. We have a terrible thing called interest, but we have another wonderful thing called compounding interest. And compounding interest is so powerful. It can dramatically increase the amount of savings you have over a period of time. So compounding interest is crucial in using it as a tool to build your wealth. Okay. Um, I'm not an investment advisor, so I can't tell you where to put your money, but it's important to do a lot of research. There are things like index funds, business ownership, property business, managed funds, normal bank accounts with interest, high interest accounts, and much, much more. But don't just put it in a box under your bed. That's really not getting it to work for you. When you do start to build up some wealth and savings, guard it. Don't be reckless with it. Avoid quick rich schemes. You know, the old saying, if it seems too good to be true, it probably is. Okay. So, how do you do that? Well, you seek wise counsel. Invest only, and I say this, invest only in what you understand. Don't be taken in by all these scams. Talk to people who are knowledgeable in these areas. Avoid quick rich schemes. So the message here is do your due diligence. Don't jump into something without thoroughly checking it out and getting advice from people who know. Right. Increase your ability to earn. How do we do this? Okay, there's a fact of life. Whatever people earn in the world, in their job, in their career, in what they do, it is a reflection of the value they bring to the market. You will never be paid more than the value you bring to the market. So if you want to earn more, you have to bring more value to the market. How do you do that? Okay. You learn, you study, you you engage in continuous professional development, you engage in skill acquisition, you take on board new skills, new knowledge, new techniques, new methods, new ideas. So you open yourself up. You know, when you finish school, a lot of people, when they had their last day at school or university, they went, "Oh, thank God for that. My schooling days are over." No, that's just the beginning. You should never stop learning. And actually, learning should be something you love, something you enjoy, something you look forward to, engaging in a learning, studying process, learning more information, more knowledge, more skills, more abilities. This is what makes us excited in life. Being able to learn more so that we can do more, so that we can achieve more, so that we can acquire more. So we increase our ability to earn by seeking new knowledge, new skills, new techniques. Okay. And we must prepare for the future. So, number 6 is prepare for the future. Don't put your blinkers on thinking everything will be fine in 20 years' time. It will take care of itself. Well, it will if you prepare for it now. And especially if you're really young, you know, in your very early 20s, people don't think of retiring. They don't think of what's going to happen in their 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and all of that. I advise you to do that. So prepare for the future, prepare for unexpected events. Be like the Chinese. Emphasize long-term thinking, long-term planning. Think of you 15, 20 years from now. Where do you want to be financially? What steps do you have to put in place now to achieve that? In terms of increasing your ability, you can upskill, take new courses, engage in leadership development. You can take on a side business. Today, that has never been easier than it was in the past. Today is easier than any. People can set up an online business now with almost no investment whatsoever. You can create information products. So you don't have problems with manufacturing and shipping and logistics. So setting up a side business is not difficult. The most powerful weapon you have, the most powerful asset, is your mind. In the Royal Marines, where I trained many, many years ago, there's a saying, there still is a saying. It says, we were taught, your mind is a weapon, use it wisely. Your mind is a weapon. So your mind is your most powerful tool and your most powerful wealth building asset. So now I want to talk to you about what we call the 5 laws of gold. 5 laws of gold. Number 1, money comes easily to those who save a fixed proportion of their income. So that goes back to Klassen's first rule. Pay yourself first, save a percentage. Money comes easily to those who save a fixed portion of their income. So it reinforces the 10% rule. Number 2, money works diligently for those who invest it wisely. So you need to take advice. You need to talk to people who know if you're considering putting your money in some type of investment. Number 3, money remains with those who protect it through wise, low-risk investments. So the message is avoid risky speculation, unless you have so much money that it doesn't matter. But for most people, for most of us, money remains with those who protect it through wise, low-risk investments. Okay. Number 4, money runs away from those who chase impossible returns. So the warning here is against greed. If you're asking to get impossible returns, if it seems too good to be true, it will be. And the 5th rule of gold, money disappears when handled by the financially ignorant or the overly ambitious. So therefore, education is more important than emotion when it comes to investing. Don't let emotion run away with you. So the key, we're not finished yet, but the key takeaways would be try and put a tiny little bit of your income away in a separate account where you can't touch it, so you pay yourself first. Look at your expenses, live below your means, because what we want and what we need are 2 different things. The money that you are saving, make sure it's in an area that's growing. Even if it's in a bank account just getting a few percent interest, that is an investment. Protect your money. Don't be taken in by emotions and scams. And finally, learn, study, grow, engage in learning all the time. Okay, so I have a few questions for you. I've got a couple of exercises. For later, not now, I want you to write down your monthly income, calculate what 10% would be, and decide where it is you could put that money. So do that later. Now, here's a little exercise. I want you to identify a leak. Identify one, just one spending habit that drains money from your account. Just one. Identify one spending habit that is draining money from your account. And final exercise, I'd like you to list your top 3 income producing skills. What are your top 3 income producing skills? Now, you might not be able to answer that now. It might take some thinking, but write it down so you know what you have to come back to later. And I'd like you to think of one skill you need to develop in the next 12 months. Obviously, to do with wealth creation. So list your top 3 income producing skills and list one skill you need to develop in the next 12 months. You see, wealth is created through principles and rules, not luck. Anyone can follow these timeless laws. Anyone. Start small. Even if it's tiny, it doesn't matter. Start very small and engage in consistency. When you become financially empowered, you also become emotionally empowered. So, and my final slide here that you can see, set yourself a 30-day action commitment. 30 days to start putting this into some sort of effect. So I'm at the end now. So any final questions on anything that we've covered?
I have actually.
Okay.
You said that we should just be careful that what we are spending, for example, a coffee like $10 every day maybe,
Yeah.
and it's like it can lead to a huge amount at the end of the year. So do you think really if we save coffee, i- it will really help us to get worse, like rich or not?
You're
You know?
already, I can see you're worrying about not meeting your friends for a coffee. I'm just, I'm just giving that as an example, just coffee. Something like a cappuccino. If you have one a day, and they enjoy, I'm not saying take away your pleasures. I'm not trying to be the Grinch, but I'm just giving that as an example. One cup of coffee a day over a year mounts up to a lot of money, you know? Here in the UK, a cappuccino is £3.50. Does anyone have a calculator? Anyone quickly work this out? What is £3.50 multiplied by 365?
Yeah, 1,277.
That's a holiday.
Yeah.
That's a holiday. Okay. So one coffee a day is, if you don't have it, you could treat yourself to a lovely holiday every year.
Mm,
So I'm just giving that as a tiny little example. I'm not saying don't have your coffee, but just be aware of your spending and where it's going and what is necessary, what isn't necessary, what could you cut back on?
yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Uh, you see, wealth is not a matter of luck. It's the result of disciplined habits. Disciplined habits. Okay. And if anyone has the courage to share with me by email some of the answers to the questions I ask, I would love to receive that. You don't have to, but it would be so nice. Listen, have a wonderful day, have a wonderful afternoon, evening. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you all again soon.